We are back, episode 101. If you're watching now, we made it. We made it past 100. Great tournament moon golf.
Yep. All thanks to you.
Back at it with big guests.
Yeah,
again.
thanks to y'all for watching and listening and everything y'all have done. It's crazy. Zach, I remember we were talking about this the other day. Episode 1, he's like, this ain't never going to work. And here we are, episode 101. 100 episodes later. So
I missed 100.
Yeah.
Right. I missed one, made the other 100.
So that's a good stat. Tonight we have a special guest with you for y'all. As always, this episode is presented by Moon Golf, which we were just there last week for episode 100. Thanks to them for allowing us to do that. Go check them out soon. Their website will be live. You can order online. But tonight, Zach and I have the pleasure of having on the pod Sean Foley. Wow, big name.
Big time name.
Sean has he's a professional golf instructor. He's coached Tiger Woods, Lydia Ko, Cameron Champ, Justin Rose, Hunter Mahan, a bunch of big names. And now he's in Orlando, Florida at the Sean Foley Performance, founder of Pro Sender. So go check all his stuff out, SeanFoleyGolf.com, and let's just jump into it. Well, tonight, everybody, on episode 101, we have Sean Foley on. If you're in the golf world, you know who Sean is, but he has coached big names all across the PGA, and he's right now located in Orlando, Florida, where he's doing a lot of teaching and a world-class experience. We saw Sean at the Masters. We sat down on the range, and immediately I told Zach, I saw the outfit and the swag. I said, that's Sean Foley walking across the range.
Best dressed on tour.
Yeah, best dressed on tour. They should have said his name on that TikTok they made on PGA Tour.
Yeah, well, my friends at Ralph Lauren make it pretty easy, you know?
Yeah. But he came across and I said, oh man, we should reach out and see if we can have him on. So we appreciate you coming on, Sean. And so I guess to kind of get us where we're wanting to go with this story of where you're at now is, how did you grow up in golf playing and then transition to coaching? Or is it kind of like one of those things where you knew you're more passionate about teaching it than you are playing it?
Yeah, kind of a combo. I grew up playing, but I was kind of, very affected by two coaches that I had, or three coaches that I had. One who taught me the golf machine, Greg McHatton. The next was Jack McLaughlin, who was a coach up in Vancouver, Canada. He kind of taught me, kind of about rhythm and timing and footwork and stuff like that. And then I went back to Toronto and was coached by Ben Kern. So Jack and Ben are pretty much like two Canadian goats. So looking back at it, I think I was quite formed by just being around them. And, I saw everyone in my neighborhood go to work. I don't know how many people really liked what they did, but I would go and hang out with these guys. And I used to work for them, like in the back shop. And they just looked like they had the dream gig. Then I started seeing like Ledbetter and Butch Harmon, and then that was pretty much it. I became, a decent player, but I played in college and played, section and some mini tour events, but I was just really always into the golf swing more than the putting and the chipping part.
Yeah. So what is it like from your perspective, as the game is growing now with players getting more into strength and working out and the ball? Does that change a lot of what you do now? Or is yours still, no matter how big like Bryson or how short of a hitter like Zach Johnson is, you still teach the same way?
Yeah, no, I mean, I teach them all differently, but I'm looking for the same kind of output. No one's body's the same. The principles are the same.
Mm-hmm.
So when you add strength and velocity, you just get people hitting it further.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really change. It's all just about that. Just people are able to create higher levels of force, right? So, Okay. Yeah, I think that, really at the end of the day, for the most part, you have to coach players what they want to see. So most of these guys that I coach on tour are already on the PGA Tour. So they can't be that bad at anything really, right? Now they can think they're terrible at something, but that's just perception, and that's, when you start with them, that's their kind of current reality. But I think with reality's not really based in permanence, right? Like what's true tomorrow, what's real today is probably not real tomorrow. So, it's when you work with a player, you got to look at their history, kind of how they swung the club as a junior golfer, how they used to play in college. Normally, by the time they get to me, they've been spending some time not being themselves. And I have a saying that you have to stop being who you are not to become who you are. So, I have some young players now that I'm mentoring and kind of help guiding them. And then I have, the last probably 10 years or so, a lot of my stories of failure and success have been related to bringing people back from kind of the depths of how bad they got. And so I enjoy that. I think it's very challenging. I kind of like being stuck more at 22,000 feet in a blizzard than being at the summit. It's just kind of is where I like to operate from. I think that in order to have a plenitude of wisdom, you have to endure a lot, and so I think a lot of people are spending too much time trying to be happy rather than recognizing how they can endure pain. And I think if we have purpose in what we do, then we can handle just about anything. But there's so much to be learned when you're down, and I think that's it's important.
So you'd rather, oh, maybe not rather, but you enjoy when a player is in a mindset and a struggle in their game, working with you then than just taking someone that's at the top dominating right now and trying to get them to go even further than where they are.
Yeah, that's kind of no man's land.
Yeah.
Because what do you say? And there's a million things that teach people, like from breathing to physiological factors to reading certain books. I mean, it's not just golf swing. I mean, it's been now almost 20 years on tour, and I kind of went through the phases of instructor to coach and now just kind of overall mentor. Because the thing is, when you start reading, when you start getting deep into neuroscience, you start realizing that you have a 26-year-old player who's done something very much the same since they were 10. A lot of times when they're not hitting it well, it comes more from misunderstanding than it does from like some technical fault, right? So a lot of times they're either doing what they've been told or doing what they think is right. And so when you can kind of clarify certain things, sometimes a discussion helps massively. Like if you buy a Ferrari and you keep putting diesel in it and you don't know why it works, if you can vacuum that stuff out and put unleaded in, and the guy's like, man, I paid $1 million for this car and it's not working. It's like, well, you put diesel in. Yeah, but I paid $1 million for it. I'm like, no, I understand that, but you're not going to get any chemical combustion from that mix. So it is literally things like that. And I think now too, so many more people are on their phone, right? So, I mean, I'm like anybody. I sit in the airport and almost miss a flight because 2 hours goes by and I can't even believe I've spent that much time looking at my phone. But it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole of just about anything. So when you're struggling and you're probably struggling because you've been, looking for the shortcut, which doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got a whole bunch of shit going on in your head. None of it's really real. And then you're watching somebody else do something who moves completely different than you, has a completely different set of wires than you, trying to emulate them. So it's tricky because think about how deep Scotty Scheffler is right now in the heads of the top 10 players in the world.
Oh yeah,
that footwork's in everybody's head right now.
but the thing is understand why Scotty does that. He's not doing any of that to benefit himself. His feet do that because he's trying not to come over the top. So basically, if you want to truly understand what he's doing, hold on. So and we saw Greg Norman do this a little bit, and we saw hold on, I gotta get a better angle here.
Oh, this is great. This is the kind of teaching we like right here.
Well, so if you look at somebody like Sergio, right?
Yeah.
So Sergio comes in from well over here. And so Sergio, his body just basically does this. He almost has no lateral motion. He just rotates because when the club's here and he rotates, it gets in front of him. So when he's here and he rotates, it just gets in front of him. So where Sergio's coming from, if he had a lot of hip slide, he would be way out to right field, right?
Yeah.
you think about Scotty, Justin Thomas, Greg Norman, Tom Watson, they're coming in from over here, and so they have to do something this way to ensure that they don't, like, imagine if they're here and now they rotate like Sergio.
Oh yeah, they're just gonna pull it.
So when they come from here, Scotty keeps pushing his hips forward so long that this ends up being the resulting factor.
Oh yeah.
It's nothing you would ever. Remember it. The thing about footwork is when a scientist talks about it, they call it ground reaction force,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's exactly. It's like the trick is in the name, boys. It's called a reaction force.
Mm-hmm.
So it's reacting to something. So the second baseman who's sitting there in the World Series and the ball gets hit, and he pushes right to go left to catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's not thinking of doing that with his feet. He's thinking of catching the ball, and he's an athlete, so he moves dynamically that way, right?
Yeah.
So look, golf is a game that we hold on to a light object with our hands and arms, and just by that definition itself, these are the most important part of the whole program.
Yeah. Man.
So we got all these amateurs looking at footwork, and they go to the top, and the club is completely open, and their elbows are all over the place, and they're worried about their feet.
Yeah.
Even Usain Bolt, as a world-class sprinter, if you tie his arms behind his body, he can't run under 12 seconds in the 100. So the arms are life for human beings,
Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense.
I'm trying to just absorb this right now.
Yeah.
But
Next time
see
I'm on the
you see what I'm
range.
saying? It's like he's hitting the ball amazing because he's doing this the most
So
consistently. And of
yeah.
course his feet, I get it that his feet are all over, and I'm not saying that the feet don't create friction against the ground so we can move against it. I'm not saying that how I create force in the ground doesn't help generate power, but
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people who are paralyzed in a golf cart hit a golf ball like 280 yards. So just saying, right?
So
When you see that, you kind of got to go, okay, they're not even touching the ground.
yeah. So as a coach, if you had a player like Scotty and say he wasn't as dominant as he's not winning, are you touching that fundamentals, or are you leaving him like that and to say, hey, let's work on something else?
No, because I don't really care what their feet do. I care what
Yeah,
their arms do.
your hands and
So anyone not hitting it well is doing the wrong things with their wrist and their arms and their release. It's got nothing to do with what they're doing with their feet, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So the feet are just, like I said, it's not a ground action force. So, coaches will sit there on Instagram and say, you want to push into the ground and do this, and everyone's coming over the top. Why would they do any of the other stuff? Like it's not. It's people aren't stuck on their right side because they're not getting to their left side. It's because their body and their feet are reacting to where the force is coming from.
mm-hmm. Hey, going back to kind of you getting into coaching, what do you think it was about your style of coaching that stood out, that kind of drew some of these top players to you?
I mean, I think it all starts out with, like, people only pay attention to if your players are improving.
Yeah.
So when they're improving, your inbox is full, and when you get fired, your inbox is empty.
It's the same in all
And
sports.
in both cases, you never ever hit a single shot, and you charge 5%. So I've always said to my guys, remember, when you win, you're 95% of the reason. When you miss the cut, you're 95% of the reason.
Yeah. Man. Hey, so I've talked to a lot of people. Well, as I was preparing for this, because we're just excited that you said yes. I was like, oh man, I'm going to do some research on Sean. But a lot of people I talked to, and even looked up, had credited you for Tiger's chipping getting better after his season with his previous coach. And I'm not going to badmouth anybody, but what was it with short game that you did with Tiger that helped him get that chipping back on point the years that y'all were together?
No, I don't work with any of my players' short games. I've never given a short game lesson to anybody, especially not him.
Oh, really?
I think to be honest with you, I think the way the media presented it was that I'd screwed his short game up. but I never give it a short game lesson. The thing is, guys, the problem is when people are outside the ropes, they're stuck reading the drivel and nonsense of nonstop news cycles, right? So
Yeah.
basically, almost most of what you hear isn't true anyway. So and
Uh,
that's almost in everything now, unfortunately,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember the days when I used to sit on the couch with my dad and watch Peter Jennings for 30 minutes report the news, and now I can turn on Fox or CNN and watch a 24-hour news cycle of them creating the news.
um,
Whatever it
and
takes for
and and
clicks
every and
now.
everyone's responsible on all sides. You know, not a one-sided person. I'm pointing my fingers at anyone who are trying to who are trying to pretend that we're divided to make
yeah.
money when we're all the same, bro.
Um, I want to ask real quick about we're the LPGA doesn't get a lot of attention, but you've worked with a lot of amazing LPGA players. Um, what do you think about one how it can get not better? It's already amazing, but why it's not getting the publicity it needs? And two, something that I think a lot more players like us that are average players, we could probably learn more watching LPGA players than we could the PGA because how graceful they are, how smooth their swing is. What is there a big difference between working with the two that maybe stands out to you?
No, they're just golfers, man.
Yeah,
You know, there's slight differences in statistically how you break down golf courses and things, but for the most part, I think obviously, look, everything comes down to money, right? So hopefully, if Nelly continues to do what she's doing, which has been embarrassingly not covered by the media at all,
agreed.
5 wins in a row, um, literally dominating golf courses. She's very graceful, very classy, very just an incredible young lady. Um,
Hmm.
and look, NBC and CBS, you know, they want to show their shareholders that they're making money. And my question to the people at NBC and CBS was, do none of these executives and shareholders not have daughters?
Yeah,
Right.
And so,
We
do we need to make 2.1 billion, or can we just make you know 2.05 and uplift women golfers?
yeah,
we do a pick 'em every week for PGA and LPGA, and it is the hardest thing, even from the PGA's app, to try and find the schedule, where they're playing, and who's even in the field.
One,
for the
I
LPGA.
agree. I couldn't agree more. And I think
Yeah,
that you know it just comes down to funding. It comes down to interest. It comes down to all of that. And I think that they're trying to make sure that the girls get paid over having, um, all that fancy stuff. But in 2024, they're not doing themselves any favors by making it that difficult. There's really no stats, no. But once again, it just comes down to like even think about the Masters, right?
hmm,
It was a fantastic Masters, wasn't it?
yeah,
It was.
And viewership was down 20%, and part of that was due to the fact that Augusta built such an incredible app that so many
yeah,
people were just watching the app.
yeah,
That's the only way we watch it.
Because when you watch the app, you don't have to listen to the sometimes complete nonsense being said, and um, you can watch.
Or the
You can bounce around. You can watch the same shot over and over. And look, that's the future, right?
hmm,
And I think we're going to see it with Live. I mean, think about with Live, right? So they're making no revenue. They've spent close to $2 billion or slightly over already. The people who are funding this are some of the greatest investment minds in the history of the planet. So they, by no means do they not mean to make money on this. So they
hmm,
bring in they bring in something where you can follow every player, and eventually one day we'll be able to watch golf on our phone and make a bet on every single shot.
yeah,
So then you have them in tennis. They put a bid in NASCAR. They're all over the world of sports, and they just know that if they own gambling, it's going to be $1 trillion industry.
hmm,
That's got to be the play. I don't know what else the play is. I've thought about 1,000 different things, and to me, it just is obviously not about growing the game in the Middle East. It's not about anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just money.
Of course, that's just everything, man. Right? I mean, it's like my son reminded me the other day. I said, "Yeah, this guy's a billionaire," and he said he's got $1,000 million. He goes, "Dad, I don't think anyone should have that much money." I said, "I agree, bud."
Yeah. And that's what I mean. The whole thing, like we were talking about, even last week with the Chevron, the major of the LPGA, how hard it was to watch it and not really see anything about it. It was just disappointing from golf fan aspect. So we enjoyed it.
And you know what? The girls, they played in 6 hours, man. No, I mean I don't know about you guys, but I'm trying to fit a lot of stuff into 24 hours, and I'm
Yeah.
sleeping for 8. So
Mm-hmm.
six hours. I thought it was quite incredible how they can hang in for that long. Like that's just a long time to do anything.
Yeah, that is.
What are your thoughts? I've been going through your Instagram page a lot, and I see Pro Sender. Do you think it would be valuable for high handicappers like us, or is it more for once you have your game in check?
That the people it's the most valuable for are high handicappers because basically this is first of all this is the first training aid I've ever been a part of in my life. One of my good friends, David Woods, and I have done this together, and basically it's bent to 51 degrees of this is called extension. Okay, that's flexion, that's extension. So you look at tour players, they average 51 degrees of right wrist extension. Amateurs are 13 to 22. High handicappers.
Yeah.
Okay. So the other thing that happens too when you do this, the way it's built, is pros are also at around 80 degrees to 75 degrees of right elbow bend. Amateurs are much more. So, here you are at the top of the swing coming down like this versus the pros coming down like that. And so just imagine if I had a club connected to my hand, how much more that's coming from the inside than that. And so over the top is a wrist issue. It's not a body issue. So as soon as the wrists go like this and the way that the club go this way, the body's going to react as we spoke about earlier. So, it's been a fairy tale for us in the last 14 months. We've sold over 55,000 worldwide. And it really is, there's not a driving range that I can go to now where I don't see people using it. I got people stopping me in airports, bars, you name it. And
cool.
it's a bit of a revolution, but this is it. Like imagine trying to pitch a baseball from here, guys. You couldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
So this angle of this wrist and this arm goes back to our early ancestors, like throwing spears at animals. You know what I mean? This is a big.
Oh yeah.
If you guys been in golf and like in golf, you've always heard about like a waiter's tray, right? So that's what it does. And what makes it unique is that it's not on your hand to begin with. So you have to do the work to get it on. It's not something that puts you in a position and then you just have to roll with it. So, I think at one point we had over 80 players on the PGA Tour who had been using it, and we didn't pay anybody. So they all like it, and it's definitely necessary for them. For a couple of my players, it's very necessary because they had the club face too open. But if a pro likes it and it helps them, then it's going to exceedingly help a 20 to 30 handicap or a 10 or a 15 handicap in big ways.
Yeah. So before you were part of coming up with this, were you a big golf training aid guy when you coached?
Never. I'd never even used one.
Oh wow.
If I did it, well, shouldn't say that. I should say that I used to take a. Remember when we were kids, we had them like aluminum rulers in school.
Oh yeah.
So I used to have rulers, and then I would tape it to the wrist to do the same thing.
Okay.
So
you've always used this kind of idea. It was just now it's actually an aid for people.
Yeah, and then the ball that goes between the wrist, I've always put balls in between my players' wrists so that they can really work on not getting into these positions here that make it kind of difficult. Like if I was in the World Long Drive, I wouldn't really care because I'd just be trying to hit it as far as I could. But we're trying to hit it far and find it every time.
Yeah. Hey, and just a couple more questions. Well,
sure.
if you were to look, if younger Sean Foley is looking at his life now, is this kind of where you pictured yourself? Like, are you like, yeah, this is what we made it right here?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. In all humility, because so many things that have led to this moment have been people asking me for help, and then we actually worked out. And all those years with Justin Rose and Hunter Mahan and Stephen Ames, and how that paved the way. But um, I'm surprised, and I'm also not surprised.
Yeah.
I've I've really went hard for 3 decades, and the last 2 decades, and being fired on national television and all these different things that you go through. Um,
Hmm.
I think that I think if you showed me when I started out, like, you projected onto a white wall, kind of every week of every year leading from 20 years old till now turning 50 in 2 months, I don't think I would have started. It would have
Yeah.
looked too
Right.
impossible. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing in life that they do this thing with the Navy SEALs, where once in a while before Hell Week starts, they put the SEAL syllabus and they read about Hell Week, and everyone
Hmm.
who reads it don't even start,
Oh, wow.
because like you would read it and go, how in the hell am I going to get through this? So
Hmm.
I think it's good in life that there's some, you know you're naive about what it's going to take. And look, I've always been super passionate about it. I love helping people. I enjoy communicating with people. I think the game is the greatest microcosm for life, and there's so much to be learned. Um, but yeah, I mean, as hard as I worked, I had to end up doing decently well. But to be very content now. In a way, I feel like it took me the first 20 years to kind of make all the cardinal mistakes that I was going to make. And now I feel that I really see it almost like I'm in a drone just flying over all of it. And it's very
Yeah.
clear to me what my role is, and what I need to do. So, in ways, I almost just feel like I'm getting started. I feel like the next chapter is probably going to be the best one.
That's cool. For us, I'll just say this: this is so cool for someone like you that we've watched on TV. Like, even as a young kid getting into golf, watching Golf Channel and seeing you on there and stuff. It's cool to be able, for you to take the time to talk to us. So it means a
Hey,
lot to
you
us
know
that you
what?
can.
This is the funny thing is that it just no one will ever reach out to me about things like this. So when people do,
Oh,
sometimes I'm
wow.
just like, yeah, shit, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Well,
We
the
reach
thing is
out
like
to
the thing is,
everyone.
I would do it for everybody. It's just there's not as much time. I just enjoy it. Does, like a guy said to me at the Masters, he's like, man, you're so down to earth, and I said, bro, where else am I standing? Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
just I'm just good at coaching golf. I'm not a social worker. I'm not a primary school teacher. It's not that important.
Yeah.
But it isn't. But it is important to be kind and treat everyone well. You know what I mean?
And I'll say this too. As I was talking to someone about you this week, he told me that he several years back attended an LPGA event, and he was watching the girls warm up, and he was standing there, and he said, and Sean Foley just walked right up to me and started talking to me like I was just a regular person. We just talked about golf, and he didn't, he just said that was such a cool moment for you to do that, because a lot of people in your position would be like, I'm not gonna go out here and talk to fans just watching the game, but for you to do
That's
that, it left an impression on him.
But that's just because they just don't get it, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, if at the end of my days, if I'm flying over my wake, you know what I mean, and I'm listening to what people are saying to my kids, if they mention golf instruction, then I missed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is it's cool, Sean. We appreciate it. Everybody, I'll go follow him at Sean Foley Performance, and everything. So thanks for coming on. This meant a lot to us, and we'll catch you
My
next time,
pleasure,
Sean.
boys.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right,
You
guys.
can look
Thanks for
for
having
an
me on.
order tonight, a pro sender
Yeah, I'm
coming
looking
Yeah,
to
forward
no,
to
Georgia.
yeah, we're it's at ProSenderGolf.com, and right now we're about to bring out the connection sphere. So you've seen, people hit with balls between their arms.
it. Hmm.
Hmm.
And so this is a little different take on it. It compresses and expands, and then it fits into the left arm. So I believe that we still have that at 20% off, and they'll
Well,
be ready to ship in mid May.
I'm ready.
that's,
You've convinced me.
well, Well, y'all go check that out, Pro Center Golf. You'll see us using them for sure on the range now. We appreciate you, Sean. Thanks for coming on.
All right, boys. All the best.
See you, Sean.
Thank you.
Boom. I told Zach I've never been so nervous for an episode before in my life. That was wild.
Legitimately, it's got to be the biggest name we've had.
Got to. And for the fact for him, which he said it there at the end, he said that he would say yes to people if they asked him, but nobody asked him. And so when we posted that clip of him on Instagram, he shared it. I was like, this is the chance to ask him.
Yeah.
So shout out, asked him. He said, yeah.
20% off, $169. Go get you a Pro Sender.
Get you a Pro Sender.
51 degrees is where you need to be.
Favorite part of that episode was him getting up and doing the Scotty explanation, the teaching.
Yes.
That was so cool for him to teach. You
almost want to say, hey, can we come down for a lesson?
Can we come film
We're
one?
in Orlando.
And that was sick just to feel like we were getting coached by Sean Foley for like 90 seconds.
Oh, I was coached.
Yeah.
I listened.
So I guess technically me and you could say we've had a lesson with Sean Foley. Yeah.
Yeah.
About extension, about our hips and lateral movement and everything.
And the ground reaction. If he saw our real swings, he would be sick.
Oh gosh, that's why I don't want to. That's why I don't want to go to Orlando. I'd be embarrassed.
You brought up Tiger, and this is what you're doing. Are you watching him?
No, we're trying our best, Sean. But everybody, go follow Sean for real. He posts even on his Instagram. He'll post a lot of like clips to help you, just small stuff. So
best dressed in the game.
Best dressed all day. Ralph Lauren. What got
RLX.
You notice when you have hair as good as Sean's, you don't wear a hat. He always just has it like fixed up.
Yeah, just slick back.
Yeah, he's always.
I wish mine would slick back
like
period.
That.
I
Great
don't
guy.
have confidence or hair gel to do it.
Yeah, that's so cool to have Sean on. So that was that. Let's real quick. We're just gonna kind of run through, tell you boys and girls what's happening with BSG as we go throughout the year. We've got a couple videos coming out, and then in September. The boys are heading to Utah. We're going to play some crazy courses down there.
What are we at day-wise?
How many days away?
145.
And
so we check in for the flight.
Here's a little sneak peek for everybody. When this episode comes out, the first video won't be out yet. But the boys are doing our own version of Busted Jack's graduation series. Well, if you haven't seen, go watch Busted Jack. But they do this cool thing where from the red tees, they have to score 9 under all the way back to the tips, and then they graduate. We could never get 9 under.
They're really good.
Yeah, we said 5 under. And they're a 2-man scramble. So the first one we filmed were 3-man scrambles, but we've got 2 episodes filmed. They'll come out shortly, and it was a battle for us to get to 5 under, to be honest with you, on some of them.
On both rounds.
Yeah, which we're not going to give it away too much because we graduated one, didn't graduate another. That's all I'll tell you. So those will be coming out, new kind of series. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. But what we can guarantee is more top-notch guests.
Content.
Yeah, content and guests. We're reaching out. If y'all know anybody, let us know. We're trying to get these guys on here.
Anyone and everyone.
But now that we've had...
Let us know.
Now that we've had Sean Foley on, it's kind of like we're at a certain we're at a level now. We can't go down one, so you better be a big name. I'm just kidding. We'll have you on no matter what. And we'll talk some golf. That was such a cool episode. So that's it for episode 101. On the road to
200.
200, boys. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.